on hustling, putting work. Just wanted to catch a message. Stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that. Catch a message through the pain, through the hurt. Just wanted to catch a message. Keep on hustling, putting work. Just wanted to catch a message. Stand tall and fight back. Let them know you ain't gotta live like that.
I look around like where the good times at. I just wanna bring the good times back. And if the good die young, why am I still alive? Maybe I deserve that fact. And the stars only shine when the dark come. Got me thinking about where I got my start from. We the new breed, who are we? We the lost ones. We the generation that embrace it like an art form. Here we go. And if you sitting in a tight spot, then you in the right spot. Man, I swear to God, I've been there. One shot like stop. Shot on a lot of homies that were here and they vanished in the thin air. Yeah, it's like a roll of the dice. Pay the ultimate price. So do you stand up and fight? Do you throw in the towel and say, I'm out, or stand tall and prepare for the fight of your life? See me, I still battle with a...
Hi, everybody. This is Higgy, and welcome to the No More Heroin Survivor Series. I have a great guest for you tonight. First, I'd like to make a few announcements. Recently, I partnered with Radical Online Radio. I will be taking the Survivor Series to that platform, a much larger reach and platform. I'll be sharing content in between our platforms. It's a great opportunity for me at this stage of my life. Dwayne Lauder's been a dear friend to me for a very long time, and we've been working on this for quite a while. I would say like close to 3 years. My best friend Matt Hall, we had made plans. We were going to do a show together, you know, a positive music focused show, share music, do videos and whatnot. But unfortunately, Matt passed away to overdose, and I'm gonna move forward with it because I'd like to honor him in that manner. I'm just really emotional about this, but I want to make him proud. I want to make his mom proud. I want to make my family proud. I want to make me proud in the meantime. Moving on, I have a great guest tonight. Garold Vallie is a professional skateboarder. He's a former X Game competitor. He's an author. He's an advocate. He is a motivational speaker and entrepreneur. He has a phenomenal amount of insight, life experience, spiritual experience. He's got a firm grasp on his recovery, and he also has 6 years sober. So when he comes on, please give him some shout outs and show him some love. Everyone, if you're catching this live, drop a hashtag live. If you're catching the replay, drop a hashtag replay. Let us know where you're watching from. I'm going to bring Garold on at this time. What's up, my friend?
What's up, Higgy? How you doing, man?
I'm doing fantastic. It's good to see you. It's good to get a visual on you. It's been a while since we've occupied the same space. Life gets busy, you know, and you've got a lot going on in your life today, my friend.
Always. And you do too, man. Like you're making some, you know, you moved halfway across the country and you're doing some different things. And I'm proud of you.
Thank you, sir.
And just stoked to be back on the show, you know, and I always have, ever since I was a teenager, I always have a lot of things going on. And when I don't, that's not getting in trouble. So
absolutely. You're a busy dude. And you're at the point in your life where you're solid in your recovery. You're solid and spiritually grounded. You have multiple things going on, and I would like to touch on the achievements that you've accomplished. You know, before sobriety, and then during and currently, you have a lot going on. You've made such an impact in my life. And a lot of other people's, not just in recovery, but in the skating communities and podcasting communities. Please just introduce yourself, where you're located, and we'll take it from there.
All right. Well, thanks again, Higgy, for having me on, dude. Like, you know, I came on your show with 2 years sobriety, and I wanted to wait till I was 2 years sober to be public about it. And it was huge. A lot of viewers, a lot of great comments. You know, Andy Roy and I have done a couple shows with you, and it's been a bonus. And so when you asked me to come back on, you know, I was like, heck yeah, I'll do whatever I have to do to be here.
Thank you.
I live about 10 minutes from the border of Detroit, the wonderful city of Detroit. You know, I know,
Motown, baby, Motown.
yeah, you know, people in the news say bad things about Detroit, but it's a wonderful place to live. We have such diversity, every different kind of person you can think of, every different activity you can think of. I mean, we get all 4 seasons in a couple days sometimes. You know, the weather a little crazy, but I love that this is where I grew up, and I got to live all over the country for little bits in time throughout my skateboard career. Came back to Detroit, ended up buying a 100-year-old house and rehabbing it, and so that's where I'm at. And yeah, you know, accomplishments are rad, and life has been awesome. But the single greatest accomplishment in my life is getting sober, and you know, it taught me the most valuable lesson I've learned from sobriety is to love myself, and that has changed my life. Prior to that, I had a very low self-esteem, and people look at me all funny when I say that, but I had to go out and be the best at everything I did because I needed the crowd to tell me how cool I was, because I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that. And so if it was hockey or skateboarding or, you know, starting a podcast or
playing the drums even.
Oh yeah, you know, I've been playing.
He's a musician on top of all these other achievements that he's what's the correct term? He's mastered.
Well, you know, I just think we all got to experience life, and so I try to experience it all. I want every inch of it. One time you posted something, and it was the quote, and I don't remember the quote exactly, but it's like, I want to experience every inch of this life that I have, and I'll get choked up saying that because now I can, and I'm not passed out on the couch, or people can't get a hold of me for 3 or 4 days and think I'm dead, you know.
You're not all numbed up, you know, hating yourself, you know, filled with self-loathing and self-pity.
Yep, and the guilt and the shame will kill you, and so I'm stoked to be alive, stoked to be here with you, to be able to help people.
You're definitely doing that. You're doing a phenomenal job just for myself. Because I can feel your vibe from here. You're happy, you're content, you feel at peace with yourself, and it shows in your mannerisms, the way you're carrying your conversation and interactions prior to going live. You know, you gave me some insight on, you know, an update on some things that were happening in your life. But before we get to that, I named this episode Garold Vallie, the Stoke is real. Define that for us.
Well, you know, when you get that fire, Napoleon Hill in Think and Grow Rich calls it a burning desire. And when you get that burning desire for anything, I don't care if it's gymnastics, if it's dance, if it's making socks, if it's knitting sweaters, when you get that fire, that's the stoke. That's you're stoking your own flames, and that's how I approach life. And then as that light inside you builds, it radiates out. And so the stoke is getting everybody else fucking fired up on just living, being alive, and experiencing connection, relationship, freaking activities, whatever it is. It could be sitting on your porch with a glass of lemonade, watching a baseball game in the park across the street. If that's your jam, man, I'm freaking fired up for you, because it doesn't matter. It's just, it's being excited, getting, you know, when you are living the life that you want, that you directed us, you know, and that you're passionate about, when your feet hit the floor in the morning, you're already fired up. You're already excited. It's another opportunity. It's another chance to fucking make the most of the life we've been gifted.
Absolutely. Come on, brother.
That's
I'm gonna do some shout outs here real quick. Bonnie Blades, I see you. Pam Villasenor, Jennifer LePage, she's chiming in from Melbourne, Australia. I seen Lucy in here. Lucy Nichols from Florida. The Villages in Florida, my old stomping grounds. Johnny Childress, he's a fellow Michigander up there. I love you, Johnny. Jamie Boyd, Portland, Oregon. I love you, sis. Jimmy Cormier. I love you, brother. Haven't seen you for a while. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for chiming in. If you guys would please give us a share.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. You were on a roll. The Stoke is real though, right?
Oh, it's totally real. It's just getting fired up about life, you know. And as you know, sobriety, I did it for myself. I wasn't forced to do it. The law didn't tell me to do it. I looked in the mirror on February 2nd, 2017, and I'm like, you know, if we're gonna die, let's get this done right now. Like quit dragging it out. Let's freaking get it done. Because that's how I drank. I drank about 2-3 fifths a day. That was my thing. I was drinking to die. And you know, like most people probably watching here, or at least
that's one level of drinking just to cope, right? Drinking to die is, you know, you just have given up.
Oh, totally. Completely, Higgy. And you know, it wasn't the 3 rehabs in the best place. It wasn't the insane asylum. It was just looking in the mirror one day that freaking that divine hand just said, you know, you gonna die today or are you gonna live today? And I have a canvas hanging in my living room, and it says "Live or Die" because that's the choice I had.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like I wanna live, and if the old timers that were helping me at the time, if they would have said crawl on glass to Antarctica, and that's how you will stay sober, I would have got on my knees and crawled on glass to Antarctica because I was at the point where I would do anything I was told, because whatever I was doing wasn't working. And I never
stopped working a long time ago, right?
Pardon me?
It stopped working a long time before that point.
Yeah.
What happened? What was your bottom like, and what motivated you to seek out recovery, you know, fight for your sobriety, and in turn, you know, start moving forward, start trudging?
I was, like I said, I was drinking to die. And so, you know, I had a stint where, you know, alcohol ketoacidosis, my heart was stopping and all that kind of thing. Like I was going to die. I knew it. I mean, I knew it. And it was that moment of clarity. It was that divine intervention. It was something that just, it was like, you know what? I don't want to die yet. I thought at that point I had done everything I was put on this earth to do. Because up to that point, you had said early on, you know, some of my accomplishments prior to getting sober. And I'm like, I've done everything I'm going to do. There's nothing else I need to bring to this world. Let's just get it over with. And I couldn't have been more wrong, Higgy, because since February 2nd, 2017, so many more things have opened up. November, I wrote a new book, and you can find it on Barnes and Noble and all that stuff. The podcast is doing great. I mean, everything has just grown exponentially. And how wrong was I thinking that I had done everything I was put here to do? Because I really think now I haven't even got started yet.
You haven't scratched the surface of your capability.
That's where I finally got to. It's like, you know what? Now I just want to do everything. I just want to experience.
What's next, right?
Yeah.
Plug your books. You said they can be found on Barnes & Noble. Are they on any other platforms that people would recognize? Amazon?
Pretty much anywhere. Like books are sold. My first book, you know, Amazon or whatever, Kindle, it's called Voluntary Self-Achievement. And that was written for teens and young adults to start developing personal accountability and setting goals and that kind of a thing. And then the book that came out in November of 22 is called DIFY, Do It For Yourself, A Simple Guide to Living the Life You Deserve. And it's a really easy read. I kept it under 100 pages. Each chapter, probably 15, 20 minutes. And it's just different things that either I have learned or that I've experienced that have helped me along this path. I talk about my recovery in there. It's not completely a recovery book,
right?
But you can, if you read it and you have been through any recovery program, you would know without even seeing anything about me being in recovery, that, wow, this guy's probably in recovery. I can tell by some of the principles and his ethics that he picked some of that stuff up from Bill, or from even Refuge Recovery has been
Sure.
big in my life, and Noah is super rad. But yeah, DIFY, do it for yourself. A simple guide to living the life you deserve. You can get it Kindle, Amazon,
That's dope.
all that stuff.
It's like a bathroom novel. If you go to the bathroom and use the toilet, you just sit in there and you read a chapter a day, like every morning, right?
Yeah, and it talks about stuff like a solid morning ritual, about how when you set even little goals for yourself and you accomplish those, how it builds self-esteem and self-trust and those kinds of things. Because I think personal accountability is at an all-time low. And so I'm promoting personal accountability, having an open mind, and things of that nature, and also spirituality and a little bit of that in there, because I think that's important too, that, believing in something a little bit bigger than yourself helps us keep our ego in check and understand that there's something bigger than us helping us along this path.
Absolutely. We met over 4 years ago. I started seeing your post on Instagram. You were nursing an ankle injury, and you were doing it opiate free. And as I progressed, I reached out to you and was touching base. And then one of the first things I asked you, are you in recovery?
Yeah.
And you hadn't posted, that you were in recovery, because you were hesitant about putting that out, which is understandable. But you confided in me. We developed a relationship, a rapport through Instagram, and watching the progress you were making in healing your injury was phenomenal. Will you elaborate on that, how that played out for you?
Yeah. It was June 21st. I had, I had done a trick 1,000 times. It came off my board, and I'm like, I think I sprained my ankle or something. I don't know. And I helped everybody pack up their stuff. And the next day, went to the doctor because it didn't look right. And he said I had broken the little bone in there in half. And so he had to put a metal plate in. And again, this is, the end of June. And the surgeon said, you might be walking by October. And knowing, again, I was early in sobriety. This only, year and a half in. And so I'm going to have the summer off. And I knew that if I was sitting stagnant, something bad might happen, like something. And so that was the summer I started working with the Tony Hawk Foundation here in Southeastern Michigan. And I got involved. I started a nonprofit called Drop In Downriver. And not just me, this wonderful group, John O'Hare, Erica, Matt, the wonderful group. We started raising money to build a skateboard park south of Detroit. And so that was keeping me mentally busy, and people would come visit me on my porch. But throughout that summer, I would do mental workouts, and I would talk to my leg. I would tell it, go and heal. And I would do mental workouts, and I would feel my muscles get bigger and smaller inside the cast. And on August 27th, and I failed to mention that my follow-up appointment 3 weeks after, the doctor looked at it and he said, oh, the bottom of the big bone is shattered too. We got to go back in and put some more screws. So the second week of July, I had another surgery. So we're talking mid-July, I get a surgery. And on August 27th, my surgeon cut off my cast. And he's like, I don't know what you do, Garold, but you're healed. You are completely healed. And I said, what about physical therapy? And he monkeyed with my foot. And he was like, you don't even need that, dude. I'm not sure what you do. And I told him it was mental workouts every day. It was a positive attitude. It was helping others. It was getting outside of myself. And even though I was injured and sort of immobile,
you had broken bones, and in a 30-day time frame, you were completely healed.
Yeah, he was
cast free, full mobility, walking. Right, that's unheard of.
Yeah, I was skating by mid-September.
I remember that.
And but it was just having that mental attitude of healing and of again getting outside myself, helping others even though I was hurt, and staying in contact with my friends, getting out on my little knee scooter and still announcing events or going to some events and just hanging out and smiling as much as possible. you know, that positive attitude has a physiological impact. And, you know, the way we think about ourselves, you know, the internal monologue can do so much, as we all know.
Good and bad, right?
Oh, that's what I was just going to get into. You know, we can talk ourselves right onto a ledge and convince ourselves that this is where we're supposed to be, jumping off of this ledge. But we can also talk ourselves the other way. And so I really am thriving and having a good time helping people see that. And prior to us coming on here, I brought up 2 examples of some wonderful friends of mine. My one buddy, we've been working together, you know, developing a stronger friendship over the last 5 years. And he has been struggling a little bit with long-term sobriety. He'll get 6 months here, or, you know, 5 months here. And it's just to be able to see his progression and see the light go on, and him see, you know, he's got his teaching certificates back. He became a certified yoga instructor. He's coaching football again. He's doing so many wonderful things. And
he's got his life back.
Yeah. And on those tough days when he's questioning it, all I am is a little reminder. Let me remind you all the awesome work you have been doing, and where you came from and where you are today. And so that has been really rad. And then I mentioned to you again in the green room that, you know, one of my best friends, 30 years, my whole life, you know, he'd drink in a hardest working dude I know. I mean, he would drink 25 beers in a night and get up at 5 a.m. the next day and go work an 18-hour day. I mean, he is an incredible human being, incredible skateboarder, incredible father, incredible friend. And he just got 90 days 2 days ago.
Congratulations, buddy. That's awesome.
And he's embracing the program, and he is just an incredible man. So those 2 people have really it's been awesome to watch and share and help them along the path, and see them do the work, be willing to do the work that it takes to get the life that you deserve, that we all deserve.
Absolutely.
And some days are a little more challenging than others, but at the end of the day, when you can lay your head on the pillow and show gratitude that you have a pillow, gratitude that you have a roof over your head, gratitude for me that I know where I'm actually laying my head down to sleep. And I'm going to remember when I wake up in the morning exactly where I'm waking up too. And those are some things I had to get used to early on in my sober journey.
Absolutely. There's no other feeling like that. Watching your friends come back to life and start thriving in life instead of just scraping by and surviving, right?
It is, you know, especially with my buddy of 30 years, you know, it was just, you know, I have like a framed picture in my garage that says, it's a picture of him, and it says, "Happiness is beer again." And that was always his thing, you know.
Right.
When we travel, because I was actually straight edge a lot of my life. I didn't drink or smoke or do any of that. He would like hide it from me, and I didn't know it till later in the years. Even smoking cigarettes, he would like, we'd go to Texas and he'd like go off somewhere just to smoke a cigarette because he thought I would be mad at him or something. And it's just he's again a great person, and it's just incredible now to talk and joke with him and just have a good time. And he's enjoying it, which is rad. He's not seeing it as a prison sentence. He's seeing it as the doors are now opening even wider for where I'm headed. And it's rad. You know, he was honest with his kids about it, honest with his wife. He has great support. And it's just, it's awesome. It's awesome to see that.
I want to throw up this pic. I love this. I would like for you to describe what this technique is and where you're at.
That picture, I love that one because that's a challenging little corner. And that's in Farmington Hills, Michigan. And if you're a skateboarder, that's a China bank. And so it's not even like a smooth transition. It's two angles going up to about a foot of vertical. And that's a Smith grind around the corner. And yeah, that was a
So there's like a 1 foot drop beneath that lip
to
where the angle runs into the wall, and you have to jump. You're going up the angle, and you jump and place your skateboard on that rim and scrape around it, and then jump back off again.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the picture the way I am, I probably started that grind all the way to the right of this frame, and I probably ended it all the way to the left of the frame.
That's some high velocity, bro.
Yeah.
What about this pick?
Now that trick, that's actually called a Madonna, and it's a 1-footed air, but as you're coming back in, you smack your tail right at the top of the ramp and make a bunch of noise. It's very aggressive, and that was I still do them to this day. Not that high, but that's just a fun trick to do. And when you see somebody do them really well, it's a party, and I hope to be doing that trick till they put me in the ground.
It looks like it takes a lot of athletic ability to do that.
Yeah, I guess, when you're
when you've been doing it your whole life.
Yeah, I've been skating.
Skating is your life, right?
Almost 40 years. I've been riding a skateboard.
What about this? It's a great pick.
I love announcing events. I love speaking on stage. And that picture, I'm not sure where that was taken, but I was announcing an event. That might have been for the guys from the skate park of Tampa for the border. And I just like to make people smile, have a good time.
It looks like you're having a great time.
Well, and one of the cool things is a lot of times they'll let me announce the little kids. And I announce the little kids just like it's the X Games. And so many different times, grandmas and moms will come over after the contest and they'll say, thank you so much for making this a memorable experience for my son or daughter. And I just think about when I was in that position. I try not to scale it back for the little guys and then amp it up for the
sure.
I try to bring the same energy for the 5-year-old. As
bringing the heat, bro.
Yeah, and they know they're fired up,
and you're stoking them, right?
Yeah, and it might they ever skate a contest in front of people, but they will never forget it because they had such a good time, and that wacky guy on the mic was just like making them feel good, and so it's again an honor to be able to do those kinds of things. And really the best is when like a grandma comes over and she's just like, that was so good, it was just like the X Games, and I'm like,
oh,
cool. But yeah,
that's one of many things that you get to do today, right?
That's it. I get to do these things. It's an honor, and I see it as a privilege that I get to experience another day of life.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, I see your companion has joined you.
Oh yeah, this is my agent. He is also my financial advisor. Look at him. He knows.
You're talking about me?
He is just a great roommate. He's like a dog. He listens. He goes outside with me. He comes back when I call him. If I tell him it's time for bed, he'll go up and sit on the nightstand and wait for me to get situated and then climb under the covers.
Oh,
he's an incredible cat, and I'm very fortunate. He's been with me through a lot of the challenging times, and he's lived it as well. So for him to, and ironically, this is his chair that I'm sitting in. 10 years ago when I got this chair, he took it. And then over the last few years, the chair moved its way into the basement. And so whenever he would come downstairs with me, he'd jump in his chair and roll around and ham it up. And I redid this room. Actually, I'll tell you about this room real quick.
Yeah, please do. Take us for a tour around your boardroom.
Hop down, buddy. Hey.
Oops.
So this chair is Finney's, and as soon as I brought it upstairs, he immediately jumped in it and was just like, yeah. So I've never hung up a skateboard on my walls, and I finally decided to do that, and I'll try to give you guys a little bit of a tour. So over on this wall is some of my pro boards that I've had over the years. And then this is a prized possession, because if you're a skateboarder, Bill Danforth is a legend in the pro skateboard world. And those are the fridge doors from his house when he lived over on the east side of Detroit. And he gifted them to me when he moved down to Florida. This is a board he gave me. And we've traveled thousands of miles together. He's like my big brother, but these are very important to me. This chair my dad made me.
Look at that.
Back.
That's amazing.
Yeah, pretty cool. And then over here, it's a Dave Tuck board, somebody who's very influential in my life. Oh, I missed this. This is the cooler thing is the frame, but that's the poster. I did a TV show in 2007, but the frame is made from slag steel from like the dirtiest place on the planet, Zug Island in Detroit. And my buddy Al made the frame for that. So that's pretty cool.
That is dope.
And then over here, I played drums in a skate rock band for a little while. And that's one of the skateboards. And I have one of the records here. And then the guitarist is, I can't seem to locate a copy of our first record. So he's bringing me that for there. Chill out, dude. And then these were given to me last year for my 5 years sobriety. This one was laser etched by the people at Modern Skate and Surf. And then this one was made by my friends from down in Ohio, and everybody signed it that was there to celebrate life that day at the skate park. So that's very, very important to me. And then up top on this side, we got some more boards and stuff.
Where's your Frankenstein boards?
Actually, there's, if you can see it, let's see. That's my very first pro board right there.
Uh-huh.
And then there's the 20th anniversary board that came out a couple years ago.
Those are fire, dog.
Huh?
Those are fire.
Yeah, they all got Frankenstein heads on them. Then I put up some other memorable stuff, cover of a magazine, some other stuff. But it's really the first time I had ever hung a skateboard up. They'd all been just stacked in the basement in a pile. And I decided that it was time to hang them up. And it took me a little while to get used to it because I felt like an egotistical maniac. But it worked out pretty good. Put a pool.
Yeah, it's your own museum. It's a story of your life. What is the symbology for Frankenstein?
Well, I'm growing up and I'm a punk rocker, and monsters, the classic monsters were always pretty cool. And when they asked me what I wanted on my pro board, I'm like, Frankenstein, man. I've had at the time, I'm like, I've had like 600 stitches, and I've super glued my teeth in, and I've stitched myself up. And if you think about it, the story of Frankenstein is pretty interesting because, he was this sort of ugly person, and all he wanted was a friend. That's all he wanted. He wanted a companion. And I always felt like a sort of a loner. And so that sort of resonated with me. And I was actually doing an interview a few years later. And the lady who was interviewing me on the radio, she's like, did you know that you and Mary Shelley share a birthday? So the author of Frankenstein and I were born on the same day.
Wow.
And so that was pretty cool too.
How ironic is that?
Yeah, and it just happened to stick. And so that's why there's Frankensteins like on every, anything that pretty much has had my name on it over the years has somehow incorporated a Frankenstein in there, and it's sort of stuck. So that's pretty cool. There could be worse things attached to your name. So
That's right. That's right. Excuse me. So tell us about the drop-in. What is your focus in your podcasting? Well,
it sort of has changed recently, actually. if you look it up, and you can find my podcast on most major podcast platforms. You can get it on Roku TV if you want to watch it. You can get it on Spotify or on Audible if you just want to listen. And I started a podcast 2010 to tell the stories of my friends, because I'm like, my friends are pretty cool, and I want to know their stories. So I started interviewing musicians. Native American holy men, financial gurus, and just it was an hour long to say, where did you start and how did you get here? And it was to inspire somebody who is watching or listening that anything is possible. Anything is possible. It's very rarely a lack of resources. It's almost always a lack of resourcefulness. And my friends had rad stories. So I started doing this podcast on my phone from my couch. That's how I started. And now I'm so fortunate to be at NRM Studios in Royal Oak, Michigan. But the podcast has morphed a little bit because it's live every Saturday from noon to 1 o'clock. Not every Saturday, but almost every Saturday. And I sometimes have a guest and I sometimes don't, because I have been growing another business as well. I've been privately life coaching people for about the last 3 years. And that's starting to grow. So every other week, I'll do a solo show about some principle that can help you in your life. And it changes every week. I usually write it up the morning of, because I'll do a meditation, see what comes to me, what I should talk about, write it down, little bullet points. And so you could tune in, and I could be interviewing, like a couple weeks ago, I had my friend Jess Roberts on, who is a life coach and has a cool story. So I had her on the show. This week, it's going to be a solo show. There's going to be 3 18-minute segments, and each one is going to cover a different principle or little tip or hack, whatever you want to call it, that can help you out in your life. And because I came up the way I did, most of these are really palatable for anybody on the planet. Anybody, sometimes you listen to people talk and they're talking from Malibu and they're talking about Malibu and it doesn't even resonate.
Right.
I can't grasp the concept of Malibu. Well, I came from low-income housing. I had to wear braces on my legs for the first few years of my life. I'm deaf in one ear. It's not like it was handed to me, but it's just that resourcefulness and that drive. And so a lot of times I talk about cultivating that self-esteem, self-love, those kinds of things, because I do believe that we're in a massive deficit in this country and world of personal accountability. People don't want to take accountability for where they're at. Mm-hmm. And you grab that bull by the horns in your own life, the benefits, you can't measure them, man. From in your relationships, in the way you feel about yourself, in the accomplishments. And it all comes back to being accountable for you. If you screw up, say I screwed up. I screwed up. But the hard thing for me was to take ownership of my successes too, because people would say no, right, and I'd be like, well, it's not me, it's the skateboard, or I didn't do that, like whatever, let's talk about something else. And to be able to say thank you and actually accept it, and that's important too. And a lot of folks that I work with, they have a hard time accepting those compliments and actually saying, just you and moving on, So
you built your self-worth by working on your accountability.
100%.
Is that key?
Definitely key. And for me, the big shift was not basing my self-worth on everybody else's opinion. And
absolutely, that's powerful.
That's what I did for the first 40 years of my life. I'm very proud to say I turned 50 this year, which is rad. Because I never thought I'd make it this far. But sobriety taught me that, or helped me learn and understand that I'm in control of me. And when I look in the mirror, I'm responsible for what I see coming back. And I have to do what's right for me to lay my head comfortably on a pillow at night. And I made some decisions even recently where some of my mentors would be like, no, I'd probably handle it different. And I'd say, well, I have to lay my head down at night comfortably, so I'm going to handle it this way. And
a clear conscience makes for a soft pillow, right?
yes, 100%. I hope folks have a notebook, because we just dropped like a couple one-liners that could change lives, man.
Absolutely. I believe I love listening to you. I've learned so much about myself from the things you've shared with me and the encouragement that you've given me. Earlier in the broadcast, you had talked about being on this suicidal mission, and you found the courage to pick yourself up and find a pathway to recovery that works for you. If someone's watching now and they're struggling with suicidal ideations, what encouragement would you give them in light of what you know now?
It is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. And if you're at a point that you cannot see any way out, please message me. Look me up on Instagram, on Facebook. My email address is lifemav, LIFEMAV as in Victor, at gmail.com. But again, I'll say it, a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Think about what I've talked about today. Prior to getting sober, I thought I was done. I thought there was nothing else I was going to give this world, and it was time for me to go. And we have just discussed some of the rad stuff that has gone on in the last 6 years.
From that point of utter brokenness, you had given up totally, and you were willing to accept death.
100%.
100%. But divine intervention chose otherwise, and you accepted your calling, and all of the accomplishments and the blessings you have in your life stem from that choice.
100%. 100%. And, you know, the thing is now, I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared to die at all. But I'm not chasing it either. I'm not trying to get there. And you know, even before I started really down that vodka path of I'm going to do this, I still had that kind of mentality. You know, there was a time in Mexico, Missouri, where we were going to skate a demo, and some guys took us to a place called Buzzard's Roost, and it was a quarry to swim in. And I what do? Immediately walking up, and I had like Sid Vicious hair going and stuff. And I'm like, what's the biggest thing I can jump off of? And they're like, well, over here. And I said, anybody ever do it before? Oh, I think somebody did it like 3 years ago. And I walk up there. I don't even look over the edge. I tell my buddy to get his camera ready, and I take 3 steps and jump. I didn't even look because I didn't care. And
no sense of self-preservation at all.
Didn't care. Skating pools in the middle of the night with no equipment on. I really didn't give a hoot if I lived or died. And with when I got into vodka, it was like, well, I can control this now, and it will look like an accident, and nobody will be mad at me. It was suicide. It was totally suicide, but I was trying to make it look like an accident, you know? And that day, I still remember it like it was yesterday, walking in the bathroom here at the house and just looking in the mirror, just totally broken, and just go, we're either doing it or we're not. I'm not messing around anymore. Either you're going to die right now, or we're going to find a way out of this. And Higgy, I had nothing. I had zero in my bank account. I had the repo man trying to take my car. I had foreclosure notices on my house. I had nothing. And now we're 6 years later, and I did whatever I had to do to get it back. And I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't do anything crazy. I just put my nose to the grindstone, and I went back to work in a 9-to-5 job. I worked as hard as I could. I called my creditors. I figured out a way to get out of that. I did everything I could, and it got a whole lot easier, way quicker than anybody could imagine. and the sobriety and being around sober people and supportive people and being honest, being open and honest with my mom, my dad, my soon to be wife at the time, being honest with yourself and with all those people helped in my recovery. And you showed me earlier my morning post, and I thought it was a great post. It was about lazy people.
I'm going to post. I'm going to share that with everyone here in a second. But what I get from what you just said was you don't fear death, but more importantly, you don't fear life.
Yes. That is
the flip side of it. The other side that people don't really consider is everything's always, we focus on the negative. I struggled with a fear of success. What is I going to be successful? Who is going to determine if I'm successful? And what is going to be the end result? And do I have the stamina to maintain that? I mean, I was worried about everyone else's opinions and judgments, and I didn't really consider my own thoughts and feelings about what success means to me. There's so many different areas of life that we can have success in. And you're living proof that you can come from the deepest, darkest pit of hell and start working on yourself and reclaim your life, have a life of purpose and destiny. And all of the barriers that you imagined in your head actually became a pathway to success for you. The wreckage of your past, you just laid it down, and it became the stepping stones to success and to having that life of purpose and destiny.
Definitely. And I think a big shift too is taking ownership. Even I drank alone a lot, so I wasn't out in public. I was very fortunate. I avoided the law and all that kind of stuff. But in sobriety, those little things, not only the minutes that we have of sober time or the seconds or whatever that is, but those other little things. I encourage people to make their bed every day. And that's one of the very first things that I talk to people about. And they're like, well, that's sort of stupid. And I said, well, the military does it for a reason. There's a psychological reason for that, because you set out, you start your day and you're like, I'm going to make my bed, and you make your bed. If you don't complete another thing that day, you completed making your bed.
At least you come home to a made bed.
Yep, that too. And those little tiny things, I'm going to eat a banana every day. I'm going to start eating healthier. I'm going to eat.
Creating a routine, right?
Yep. And also giving yourself the acknowledgement that, wow, I made my bed for 7 days straight. I have never done that in my life. And then you start compounding that. What else haven't you done in your life? Well, I've never water skied. I think I'm going to try water skiing. This thing goes, and you're like, I can do these little things. Let's incrementally make them big. And within a very short period of time, you're like, I'm going to take over the fucking world, man. Like, I can do anything. And I truly believe people who have long-term sobriety, and what I mean by long-term, I'm talking a couple years. I don't know what the long-term term in people think, but I'm saying people who have long-term continuous sobriety, I respect them so much more. I can't say more, but I have so much respect for them, because it's the hardest freaking thing I've ever done in my life. Was getting sober. And now it's like, there's nothing. I mean, I could decide tomorrow I'm going to run for president of the United States, and it ain't got shit on getting sober.
So you're fearless in a good way now.
Yeah. I'm not trying to totally destroy myself every second of every day. I'm trying to build up, live by example, and let others know that it's possible. Everything is possible. And this community, I brought up Jeff Shell earlier, the Ohio contingent that comes up. I do a clothing brand called Purple Heart. It's just like total bootleg out of my basement, like kind of thing. But that has developed a really strong presence in the recovery community. And it's just like, it's so rad to see the lights come back on. And I'll tell you another thing that's rad too, because every morning I text with a guy and he's in and out. He's in and out and he's burned some bridges, but almost every morning, unless he's in detox, we're texting what we're grateful for that morning. And even, you know, I get as excited when I see people come back and they haven't given up yet. And I love that as well. And it's been one of the biggest blessings of my life, being, you know, becoming friends with you and meeting
Thank you.
individuals. It's been awesome.
I wanted to throw up this pic, and we'll talk about this. Lazy people do a little work and think they should be winning. Winners work as hard as possible and still worry if they're being lazy. Louis Corolla.
Blessing and a curse, because you can, you know, like for me, some days I sit down at night and I go, I didn't do anything tonight. I didn't get anything done. And my mom will sometimes remind me, she's like, what? And then she'll tell me what I did that day, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, but I feel like I didn't do anything. And she's like, what are you talking about? You did this and that and this, and you did that and you did this. I'm like, yeah.
Still striving.
Every day, man.
You have that ingrained in you now. You know, if you know from your alcoholism that an idle mind is the devil's workshop, right? I find that boredom is a trigger for me as well. If I don't stay busy, constructively busy, there's a difference between being busy and being productive.
Yes.
I spent a lot of time being busy, thinking that I was getting somewhere, where I was just spinning my tires. I was doing busy work. I was not productive. You find that for yourself as well?
I used to. Now everything has to have a purpose, because I run out of hours in the day, man.
You get to decide where you exert your energies, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. As soon as we get done here, I'm going to go run through our set list for Saturday, because I got to play a show in 2 days. And we you know, my neighbors are cool with it. My basement's sort of soundproof. But yeah, you know, there's a big difference between being productive and being busy. And I like to be steady, but I am learning to relax. Because you got to take time for yourself too. And if it's an hour meditation, you know, when I get home in the afternoon, or
self-care, bud.
Oh, dude, it's so important, and you can't overlook that.
I've learned the value of that. I always thought I was being bored when I was actually at peace. I was so used to chaos,
yeah,
you know, and putting out fires, or over here trying to save somebody, and I neglected me. And I need that quiet time. I need away from the hectic hustle bustle and the yakety yak, because it's hard to focus on yourself if you don't find solitude.
Yep. And if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of anything else.
Not appropriately, right?
Right.
The same with self-love, right? If we don't love ourselves, we can never appropriately love people properly.
Yeah, I love one-liners, and I think you can't pour from an empty cup. You just can't. And if there's no love inside, how can you give love to anything else? And you really have to love yourself.
Before we get off here, I'd like for you to, you know, touch on your spirituality. What, how you came about it and how you practice it.
Yeah, I've been on a Eastern philosophy path for about 15 years, and it's grown. It's like the rabbit hole, you know. You can go down a rabbit hole and whatever. And in the last, you know, 6 years, especially, getting into my meditation, talking to myself. You know, again, we go to self-love again. Instead of sending out blessings to everybody else, taking the time for self-love in those quiet meditation times. I've been fortunate to study with a gentleman named Miles Neal. He's a very influential Buddhist gentleman in the United States, and we met and I started reading his books and whatnot. I love like looking into the Hindu philosophy. I'm a big fan of Ganesha, and I say Hanuman, and I know I pronounce it the way I want to, but I love the gods in the Hindu philosophy. I just have a very open mind, and I do think we're all connected. And I think most religious religions are connected. There's so much more alike than different if we don't just focus on the differences.
Absolutely.
And so, meditation became important. Relying on divine guidance, quieting myself enough to hear it.
Those are the philosophies of refuge recovery, right?
Yep. Noah took basically the Buddhist philosophies and developed a 12 steps around Buddhist philosophies. And it's rad. It works for a lot of people, but
why would they call it refuge recovery?
Because when you take refuge, you're taking
shelter.
Yes, and then that's in Buddhism, you take refuge in the Buddha, you take refuge in the Sangha, you take refuge in like your group of people. You feel secure there, and so it's almost like a security blanket.
And prior to that, you're a refugee, right?
Yeah,
a person with no home, no place to belong, absent of self. That's where I think the meditation comes in, because we go inwards and work on ourselves.
And that's not easy.
No. We've been at war with ourselves our whole life.
Yeah, and that's where that whole accountability comes in and all this. When you can get comfortable looking in the mirror and being okay with who you see in that mirror, it took a little while for me. And I started giving myself high fives on the mirror in the morning. And I learned it from a lady named Mel Robbins. And you would be surprised at what that does, because we high five everybody. We cheer for
Absolutely.
Everybody.
Connection. It's a connection to other people.
And we got to learn to do that.
Absolutely. We're approaching an hour. Give us a hope shot. Anybody that might be out there struggling with addiction, alcoholism, mental health issues, give them some words of some wisdom that you've learned over the years.
The first thing I'll say is reach out to me personally. I will ask you to do that in a minute, because I love talking to people. I love one-on-one interaction. I love it. I love it. And as far as, it's never too late. I don't care how old or young you are. And there is always a path forward.
Thank you, Angela.
Always a path forward. And, I love what I think Elon Musk calls it the 5 chimps theory. Other people have called it something else. We can go in a deep scientific explanation on another show. But you're the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Booyah. You hang with lame people, you're eventually going to develop a limp, right?
Bam. Exactly. And so, I purposely develop strong relationships with other people in the sober community. All different kinds. All different kinds. And I don't go to meetings every day, but I talk to other people in recovery every single day. And they are my friends now. And we can make jokes about how much of a shitbag we were. And we could laugh about it, where people,
You don't dwell in that anymore.
Huh?
You don't dwell in that anymore.
No. And there is always hope, no matter what it is. There's somebody out there that has gone through what you're going through, has done what you have done or something similar, and they are living this crazy, fruitful, gnarly, awesome life, and that life is waiting for you. It is waiting for you right now, and it's your opportunity, again, to take that accountability and go, well, I worked hard enough to get to here. Let's work that hard to get to here where I want to be. And again, I encourage you to reach out. I try to answer every single message I ever get. And so reach out. Let's talk. Let's freaking figure it out. And if I can't help you, there's somebody that can. Higgy, freaking Jeff Schill in Ohio, freaking I mean, there's so many awesome individuals in the recovery community. It will blow your mind that for me, it blew my mind, Higgy, when we come out 2 years into sobriety, when I come out and talked about it, the awesomest people were like, no way.
The outpouring of support was phenomenal. It really was.
And you know what's even more rad now? That the other people in the extreme sports community, they'll message me and be like, hey, G, is it okay if I give this dude your number or this young lady your number? They're struggling right now.
You're making me tear up. It's pretty awesome. It's beyond words, the feeling of that.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And as soon as, I don't know, it's just, it comes down to self-love, being accountable for maybe the little hitches in your giddy up, but being accountable for the wonderful things that you bring to the world. And each one of us bring wonder to this world. And you got to take credit for that too. And that's where that the balance, but there's also that healthy love of self. And I think this country, especially the Western world, they lead you to believe like that's being an egotistical maniac or that isn't healthy. Always look out for the other people. But like we were just talking about, Higgy, if you don't look out for yourself, you cannot look out for anything else.
That is correct. Thank you, bro. It's been a phenomenal live. It's been great catching up with you. I needed this for myself. I got a spiritual recharge from this. You've dropped a lot of great knowledge, and you're living proof that recovery can work for anyone, and the blessings are real. The Stoke is real, dog.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Thank you, Higgy, man. It's always.
Thank you, man. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to the Survivor Series with Higgy. I am Higgy. I'll be back doing this more often. I'd like to give a shout out to Grace Recovery and Wellness for offering me an office space to start growing and moving forward. Thank you to Dwayne Lauder from Radical Online Radio. He'll be coming into town next weekend. He's going to bring me some equipment. We're gonna develop a game plan. You'll start hearing my playlist, seeing and hearing my shows on his platform as well. We're growing. We're staying clean and sober today. We're networking. We're absorbing positive energy from other examples of success and recovery, such as G Valley, the Life Maverick. I love that dude. I love you, bro. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you're catching a replay, just let us know. #replay and give us a share. Love y'all. Peace.